We are waiting for the guest to join. Once he joins, we will start. Thank you.
Hi, good evening.
Hello, sir. Welcome.
Hello, Amit. I hope I'm audible, Amit.
Yes, sir. You are.
And I hope my video is also visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we have Sangeeta ma'am and
Hello.
Kalpesh sir
Good
here.
evening, Sangeeta ma'am.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening,
Thank you
Sangeeta
for
ma'am. Good evening,
joining.
Kalpesh. Yes, ma'am. Kalpesh sir, good evening.
I'm visible.
Yes, sir, you're visible.
Yes, sure. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for joining. So we'll be starting in 1 minute. People are joining.
Sure, sir.
So Amit, we can
Yes, sir.
start at 7:05, right? Yeah.
Sure, sir.
So today is the final day, and thank you very much for accepting our invitation at very short notice.
Then
Uh,
quickly
yeah,
check.
thank you.
No,
Because
no,
this
sir,
was a
that's absolutely fine. Can I quickly check whether the
yeah,
PPT
yeah,
is
sure,
visible or not? If that's fine.
sure, sure, sure.
Um, I hope it is visible. Is it?
It's coming up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We can see it now.
Okay. And
So I think
can
there's
you
a
also see
network
the
issue.
slides getting changed?
It is taking a bit time. Yeah, it is changed now.
Okay. But can you change see that the slides are getting changed?
Right, sir. Yes, we can see it.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So I'm ready to go. I'm just waiting for the cue from your end, and then we'll be just let me know whenever we can start.
Yeah, I
I think
think, sir, we
Amit,
can
we can
start.
start. It's already
Yes,
over to you, Amit.
7:05. Okay, sir. Thank you so much. And I welcome Dr. Deevanshu Shrivastava, sir, for this 13th session, which is the last session of this capacity building program on how to strategize the teaching clinical papers in Indian law schools. And uh, so I welcome you all for this session. And Being a alumnus of NLIU Bhopal, it is my pleasure to welcome another alumnus of NLIU Bhopal, Dr. Deevanshu Shrivastava, and he has 12 plus years of teaching experience, and currently he is serving as the founding dean and professor at JL Bajaj Institute of Law, Greater Noida. He has various certificate courses from WIPO, University of Pan, in the field of IPR. He was the founding head of Central India's first and only public policy school, Jagran School of Public Policy and International Affairs. He is a lifetime member of national and international journals, and he is on the advisory board of various legal platforms. He has won the prestigious Excellence in Research Award thrice in the academic year 2015-16 to 2017-18, and he has been awarded with the Outstanding Performer for the year 2015-16 and felicitated with the prestigious Excellence in Research Award in 2018. There are so many awards that sir has won, and I would like to just mention one more. That is, he has received the prestigious Best Faculty in Law at the International Academic Awards in Dubai, presented by GISR and American College of Dubai in October 2019. Uh, since so many years, he has been a trainer for leading government as well as non-governmental organizations. And today, sir is going to train all of us, build our capacity in the area of professional ethics. And without wasting any further time, I hand over this floor to Dr. Deevanshu, sir, to deliver his lecture.
Thank you so much, Amit, for that introduction, and special thanks to Kalpesh sir, Sangeeta ma'am, for extending this invite and giving me this opportunity to interact with such sharp minds. Such sort of capacity building programs is a wonderful initiative by the Law Teachers India, and whenever I get a chance and opportunity. I do not know since how many years I've been associated with this uh, prestigious organization under the able leadership of Kalpesh sir. But one thing that definitely like to know, and whenever I get a chance to participate, to enhance my knowledge and to enhance my way of teaching, I have been, and sir is very much evident of this fact, that I have been a regular participant in such faculty development programs or the capacity building programs. Um, Today is just a role reversal for me, and I'll be very honest. Sir rightly mentioned that when I was asked to take this topic, and I was asked whether um, I have been teaching. So before I move ahead, and as what was rightly mentioned in the introduction itself, now, for me as a student of law, which I generally call myself, it's been nearly 20 years for me to be the student of law. And I still count myself as a student and not on the other side. And always asked that what is the favorite subject, as we generally move when we are into a 5-year law course. I have always been, I do not know why, but I had always a special inclination towards the non-codified subjects like jurisprudence, subjects like interpretation of statutes, and adding to that is equally important of something called as professional ethics. Now, before I move towards professional ethics, you guys would be very happy to learn this, and major of you might be knowing this fact, but for them who are not knowing it, there are only two domains in the entire world where a subject like professional ethics is being taught. One is a medical field and the other is a legal field. And
Okay.
the per hello.
Participants, please mute yourself.
Okay. So the only two domains that teaches professional ethics, there has been, I'll tell you, there has been, I'll request the participant to please mute himself.
Sorry
Yes.
for interruption. I have
So
muted him. Yeah.
no, yeah, thank you so much. So the only reason, and there has been two sort of difference of opinion on this same fact, that whether ethics can ever be taught. And today's lecture is majorly on that particular fact. Now, I would just ask each one of us here to trace back to your school days, and that to a primary school days, where we were taught a subject called as moral science. I again recall my school days where I have been very fortunate enough, where in my, even in class 11th and class 12th, I was taught a subject which was termed as Naitik Shiksha, which is nothing but an Hindi version of professional ethics. And blessed to be studied from school like Saraswati Shishu Mandir, where the moral science or the Naitik Shiksha, as I was reflecting on to, was taught majorly towards what we read in our religious texts. I'm not talking it to be on the religious grounds, but the ethics and the values that these subjects and things have been teaching us to. Similarly, the subject which we see here is the professional ethics format, a subject that is mandatorily to be a compulsory clinical subject to be taught, a subject which generally happens in our later years of our law school. If it's a 3-year law course, generally in the third year. If it's a 5-year law course, generally in the fifth year. And a subject which is more of how an advocate should behave towards its client, towards its peers, and towards the bench. An ethical class which gives you the do's and the don'ts itself. Now, when I was taking it as a subject and with a clear intention that I might not take the advocacy as my career option, in my 5-year law course, post that I did my LLM and other such thing, was this subject still a need, is what a question which I guess is a major question for each one of us to follow. But believe me, ethics falling within the legal education is exactly the same, even if today I am a law professor or a judge, or for that matter, an ethics practicing lawyer in the corporate domain. I was so happy when the Present Advocates Act 2025 was brought, and for the first time, they recognized the GCs, the general counsels, in the definition of a legal practitioner. Unfortunately, with certain hue and cry, bill has now been withdrawn, but a welcome step towards that particular thing. And do you know what is common apart from the degree of law is the ethical values out there. So during this particular course of what we have been given on to, I'll try to keep the next 40-45 minutes towards how professional ethics can be made as a teacher if we are, and I really want that by the end of this 40-45 minutes allocated to me, I make sure that many of my friends who are the academicians out there should in the next semester or in the present semester, if they get an opportunity, they should from their own side demand subjects like professional ethics to be taught in the classroom. And not only that, I would also try to bring it on a fact that this professional ethics it can be utilized to shape and to make it more interesting as to the present format where it's more of a theoretical subject that being taught on. Now, this presentation explores effective strategies for incorporating ethics into the legal education, which will delve into the importance of ethics, examine the role of Bar Council of India, the parent and the apex body, and outline the map that how we can teach by adopting greater of the methodologies. So to start off, we see that how professional ethics as a subject. So when I'm talking about professional ethics, the Bar Council of India, through the Legal Education Rules 2008, has prescribed a particular syllabus, has prescribed a particular what subject to be taught. So all my friends, I know you people are already aware of the fact, but the Bar Council has divided some compulsory subjects, some elective subjects, and among the compulsory subjects, they have mandated that 4 clinical papers must be taught during the entire duration. And when I talk about the 4 clinical papers to be taught mandatedly, one among is the professional ethics. And I can recall my days when we were there at this room. Bar Council, even at that time, used to come out with a book. This book is the book called as the Professional Ethics for Lawyers, which was published at that time by the Indian Law Institute, New Delhi. This blue hardbound book was a treat to read. And I'll be very honest, I during my school days, I developed this wonderful habit of reading, a habit that included fiction, that even include Harry Potter, that even include novels, that even include Paulo Coelho, and so on and so forth. But what did my law school help to make me even that reading thing to be there? It made me read through looking forward for a legal angle in all those things. So whether it was Khalil Gibran's Kite Runner, I saw what and why an Afghan footprint to that particular novel has been brought onto, and where can I see legal things to be there. Not only that, the ethical principles under the legal profession was also seen, and even today, when I read a newspaper this morning, be it so it's on my mobile or if it's a physical form of the newspaper that I receive each day in my morning, I make sure that each news I see it through the lens of law or the legal analysis. Now, professional ethics comes with a prescribed syllabus, and as a fact of a law teacher or following the same domain, I would never ask a faculty member to make it read the or deviate from the syllabus that is being prescribed on. But what I'll try and ask you to do is to incorporate a new lens on reading and make that particular learner more interactive towards it. To start off, the first and the foremost methodology that we are going to adopt is called as a case study analysis. Now, as you can see, the case study analysis is nothing but how we are going to put a real world ethical dilemma. Now, you'll say, Sir Devanshu, sir, if it is a real world thing, why is dilemma added to it? And this exactly is what I am wanting my law friends who are teaching subjects like professional ethics to bring into place. So what you need to do is to bring two forms of case. Now, these cases are one, the landmark cases. The landmark cases involves where the Supreme Court has given judgments categorically clear over the misconducts, over the contempt of courts, or even offenses which are considered to be, for example, such as bribery or fraud. It provides a valuable learning experience. I would take one step ahead as well. Um, During the course of my presentation, I have tried not to focus more on moot court practices, but other alternative competitions. First and foremost starts with a client counseling competition, or we also call it a client consultation competition. A provision which do not requires any beforehand memorials to be presented. It never requires any beforehand materials to be grafted, but it tests your knowledge as a subject expert. Now, all of my friends who are already aware of the nomenclature of the client counseling or the client consultation competition, um, a quick recap for them, and for all my friends who are not aware of this particular thing, these client counseling competitions are basically a team of two lawyers are made and a client is being presented with a problem. Now, this problem, it's more about how well as a lawyer have the lawyer understood the problem given by the client. It's more of an it's more of an extempore competition, that when in that particular room even the lawyers are unaware what problem is going to come next, and this basically helps them to behave more of a understand in more of a client counsel relationship. So these competitions can not, we do not have to wait for a national competition for the national international thing. Forrest and Brown International Client Counseling Tournament happens each year. On similar ground, you can plan one among your batch and allow the best two people to be selected from your institute and participate. Serves two purposes. You'll get the best out of the rest, and you may get a representation of your department as well. And to add to the cherry to the cake, the winner of the India rounds represents India at an international tournament. So this is one way where a real case. Now, how to do this a case study analysis? Now, the second format of the cases is a misappropriation case. Now, this scenario involves a lawyer misusing the client's funds, highlighted as an ethical violation outlined in the BCI rules. Now, I'll give you a small example to make this thing understand. Now, for example, a client enters, and this is just what I'm trying to borrow from something. Now, a client enters a lawyer's chamber, and this hypothetical situation can be given as you as a law teacher in your classroom. So this client enters, you be the client, and present a scenario case that you are that particular client, and you have a travel company, and you bought 3 taxis, and you took a loan to buy 2 more, so total of 5 vehicles you have. And then you hired couple of drivers. You did the preliminary check, like the driving license, like the background of this particular drivers, and it was all presented to you. You did not counter check it, but it was all presented to you. One of such drivers was Mr. X. Now, there was a regular customer of yours who calls you and says that you need a van to move from Delhi to Agra for a sightseeing. Now, you agree, you ask Mr. X that you will be the driver to take this particular party. And then the next day, Mr. X takes them. They were on the way to returning back from Agra to Delhi after the sightseeing view. Mr. X suffers an accident in which a two-wheeler rider dies and Mr. X suffers injury. Luckily, none of the passengers suffered any injury. Now, what I have given you as a scenario, this particular thing, FIR gets registered. Mr. X is admitted in the hospital. You reach the hospital being the owner. And then you come to know that Mr. X has suffered injuries, out of which there would be a 3 lakh rupees spent on his medical bills and medical expenditure. You also meet Mrs. B, who is the wife of the person who died in that accident, and she claims an amount from you. You already had an insurance, you file for the insurance claim, and you discover this particular fact that the insurance company responds that the driving license of Mr. X was a fake driving license, as a result of which the insurance amount would be the insurance amount or the insurance compensation won't be disbursed. Now, you as a client, you reach this particular class of yours, stating them that they are the lawyers. And then you raise just one condition, that I know that you are a good lawyer and you will be helping me today, but I do not have money to give you right now. So what I'm trying to do as a client, that you help me win this particular case, and whatever amount I will win, 15%, 15% of what I'll receive from the insurance company, I will give you as that particular amount as a fees. Now, as per the ethical rules, this is a corrupt practice and shall not be taking place. As a client which you were trying to teach, so these are the misappropriation sort of a cases where you dive into the case and give these particular things and then demand from the students a thing. So it's more of a role play that we introduce in there, and these role plays are nothing but real cases in which you have not disclosed the judgment and asked the judgment from your class to be bringing on. Now, these role play or the simulations that I was discussing in the previous thing is basically practicing ethical decision making. Now, we all know as law students, the most important component that we see is a decision making. This decision making is about how in a particular situation you will behave as a counsel. Now, this can be either through hypothetical cases, and which would attract 3 basic things. So number 1 would be a courtroom scenario. Courtroom scenario is more of an advocate and judge component, ethical challenges, which is more of a advocate to client thing, and the conflict of interest simulations, where two counsels with opposing interests are there, which is called as advocate to peer relationship. Now, starting with the first one is a courtroom scenario. Now, the subject professional ethics is about how a advocate, and believe me, as an advocate, the only three situations he can ever land in. Number one, whether he's in the courtroom, whether he's in chamber inside the courtroom, or he's in his private chamber at his outside the court premises. A lawyer is and will always be a lawyer. So he interacts majorly with his client, with the judge, and his peers. And this exactly is how professional ethics, professional integrity is based upon. In all the three present situations, what is lined up is how this particular advocate or counsel is going to react, how he is going to make decisions whenever he's landed into a problematic situation. Now, first and foremost question that I'm asking each one of you is here. And that is, what is the first thing that you require? I'll repeat, what is the first thing that you'll require if you have to make a cup of tea? I would request the participants if they can unmute themselves and answer. Or if not, I would answer that in the next 5 to 6 seconds. So somebody said you require tea leaves. Somebody said you require milk, but not all teas are with milk. Not all teas are having tea leaves. Some may be a green tea, some may be in whatever format it is. And the best answer that came across was you require an integral desire to have tea. Without desire, even me, if I'm sitting in my room and I want to have tea, I first need to have that want for tea, that desire for having tea. Now, second set of questions. So, all of us as a male counterpart. So, first thing, or the thing that is required, shave your beard. What will be the first thing that you should require to shave your beard? And here the answer is not want or desire. The answer here is one needs to have a beard in order to shave a beard. Now, I know this might be sounding what a illogical question this is. Now, believe me, major of the things that we or I believe it to be illogical is actually logical for the person who is into that particular situation itself. And that happens with the lawyer. Now, professional ethics is more about keeping that advocate into the nucleus, into the center, and then deciding. So, as you can see, when I divided the advocate to judge, advocate to client, and advocate to peers, I'm actually keeping advocate in the center of it and then relating how others would behave or others think. And it is only and only about the ethical way. Now, there has been a lot of debate, both under the jurisprudence and even today, that there might be, and I believe me, out of the 5 prominent schools of jurisprudence, one being very favorite to me is the analytical positivism, and under that as well, John Austin. Now, I'm not saying that I'm biased towards Austin's approach, but one feature or one particular thing was he disregarded morality. He said that international law is nothing, it's not a law, it's not a positive law, it is a positive morality. And before I move towards the positive morality or the moral side of the thing, he was the one who defined the term positive. Now, again, I know major of you would still know this answer, but what do you mean by positive? It is one word which you willingly or unwillingly do use it in a particular day. 4 years, 5 years back, we had something very positive coming in, which was not that positive also. But that matter, is something which means, and I quote out here, positive is in literal terms meaning something that I posite, something on which I would posite that, okay, this is, it is as it is. As we always say, law ought to be in law as it is. So Austin, being from analytical positivist. Now, we understood the word positivist. Now, adding analytical positivist is that you are reaching to that particular is it. Like, for example, if I say this is a pen and this is a card, why I say this to be a card and this to be a pen and not a vice versa, or calling this to be a pen or this to be a card, is only because after due analysis, I have reached to that particular situation. Now, borrowing that analytical positivism to what is the ethical things. Now, for example, and this example is something that I've been uh, repeating years to years, and I'm pretty confident I'll repeat that in coming years as well. Now, there was, and I has been major part of my life, and we could agree on that particular point, is I spent major part of my life in Bhopal, nearly 18 odd years. A, a, a place which is beautiful, a place which is the cleanest capital of the country, a place which is full of lakes. There has been a debate with whether we can call Bhopal as a city of lakes. The people who are living there would definitely be agreeing to me for calling it to be a city of lakes. Now, I was standing at a lake, the barricading near the lake. I was eating my ice cream. Parallelly, I saw that a boy was drowning in that particular lake. I did not pay an attention to it, and I concentrated on my ice cream. My ice cream, I moved away. Now, you people decide whether I was wrong. I know the set of answers would be you might not be ethically correct, but you are, but you have not done a crime, to be very honest. Now, just switching that particular thing and just adding one more fact over that. Now, I was at the same lakefront eating my ice cream near the barricades, and a person was drowning. The only change from the previous situation is I was appointed as a lifesaver for that particular area of the lake. Now I see that particular person drowning, and I did not pay a heed again and concentrated on my ice cream. Have I done a wrong? The answer is yes. In this particular case, I'm both ethically and legally wrong. Now, similar situation is that with an advocate. An advocate, when he's approached by the client, it is no more, and it is a more of a duty of the advocate to be ethically correct, to be on that particular situation that he is representing his client's real interest. So break your class into particular domain, divide them as some being judges, some being clients, and some being an advocate. Ask your students to act as lawyers, facing ethical challenges, fostering critical thinking and ethical reasoning behind it. That's where analytical positivism becoming into place. Simulate your classroom into a courtroom scenario and client interactions provided by practical experience. And when I'm talking about the client interactions, divide it that this section would be a courtroom and this section would be a chamber communication. The something which has been called nowadays a privileged communication between the client and the counsel himself or herself. And then the third situation is a conflict of interest simulation. A simulation that presents a student representing two clients with opposite interests in a property dispute. And this is wonderful exercise which I already, and I'll be very honest, what all things that I'm discussing out here has already been the part of my classroom previous year where I was teaching the courtroom ethics, the professional ethics in the classroom. So in this particular thing, this I also called as crossing the flow. This is one of a form of a debate, and I'll be very honest, this is not something rocket science that I have tried to bring in my class or something that I am copywriting onto. Crossing the floor is a debate mechanism where, in spite of choosing to speak either in the favor or in the against, the 5 minutes, if it is allocated to me, 2.5 minutes I'll speak in favor and 2.5 minutes I'll speak against. Same person speaking for both the sides. And this exactly is called as the COI simulation, or the conflict of interest simulation, where you, as a lawyer, you are given a particular client and you 10 minutes with that particular client, and the opposite client 10 minutes with that particular client. And as an advocate, you'll have to be very clear. This is more of a combination of a moot court combined with arbitration, where CIs of other things are there, all in one together. And that is where I've called it as the conflict of interest simulation. Now, as an advocate, you need to be very clear that all the ethical practices have been brought into consideration when we are taking this particular thing. Now, from more of a client counsel, judge, or counsel peers thing, I move towards a very important thing, that these subjects give you this opportunity to invite more of seniors as a guest lecturer for this particular subject. And believe me for this, when I approached my university that I need to call people for the clinical paper of professional ethics, my friends, my peers all raised a question, sir. You know that we have budget of calling guest faculties, and if you're utilizing this budget to call people for such a subject, we, like for example, the core of criminal law, the core of corporate law, where we can get people, we would not get that particular time. Don't you feel this subject as being a clinical subject you require? Now, with, believe me, I called a total of 13 advocates, 4 judges, out of which 3 were retired judges of High Court and 1 from Supreme Court, and 1 sitting judge. And this sitting judge was a judge from the district and the sessions court. Now, this has changed the total perspective out of it. And to my contrary, to my, I would say I was wrong at that point of keeping an expectation. When I reached these senior advocates, these seasoned professionals, everybody, when they heard I have not been invited ever to teach this particular side, a professional ethics sort of a thing. And this, I'll tell you guys, I'll be very honest again, I borrowed this idea from the Medical Council of India. Medical Council, and as I said in my starting, the only 2 branches, or the only 2 domains that teach professional ethics as a subject. Now, in Medical Council, and you might be aware of this particular fact, today I'll let you know one more thing. So, the Medical Council of India is the only council in the India which has a separate provisions for law teachers. They do not follow the UGC guidelines. And this is a liberty which the Medical Council has with it. And believe me, it is my urge, it is my request, it is my pleading that even I want to see the Bar Council of India into the similar sort of role itself. It should not be an issue, or if we should not be, I'm not against the UGC guidelines, but law teaching is more of, why is always there the question that we as law teachers should not be practicing law? And I'm so happy the recent, if to the best of my knowledge, the recent previous 5 years, I've seen law teachers by one of my teachers as well, Professor Dr. G.S. Vajpayee sir, being appointed as the amicus in Delhi High Court. I recently saw a professor from NLS Bangalore being appointed as an amicus. And these things is something which is changing. These are the facts, which is something which is bringing as a change. I'll be very honest. A recent, when I took my students to the Supreme Court and we pleaded that they should be hearing a case, and to believe me, it was just a sheer coincidence that when it was the Attorney General of India, who was pleading it in the Chief Justice's court for a 5-bench constitutional bench on a constitutional matter. Will you believe he cited Professor Bakshi, Professor Upendra Bakshi, sir? And I do not know, I had a goosebumps at that particular moment that look, in this particular courtroom, one, that is the Chief Justice along with the 4 assigned judges of the Supreme Court, the Attorney General of India is citing on a constitutional matter a law professor. And this exactly is what, when the senior advocates coming and talking about ethical practices, and it was not a PPT session, it was not a session where they had some handout or something. It was sheer experiences of them. It was sheer what all, and as they have rightly been saying, that the gray hairs that they have is exactly what they have achieved in their past so many years of practices. And believe me, you name the senior most lawyer, whether the likes of Kapil Sibal sir, whether the likes of Arvind Datar sir, whether the likes of Mukul Rohatgi sir, you name it. And they are ethically and morally when they are standing in front of court of law. Yes, they might share a lighter moment, but when it comes with the ethical thing, and I'll be very honest, guys, this Saturday, the past Saturday that went, I was very fortunate enough that 9:30 a.m. in the morning, I met the former Chief Justice of India, Honorable Dr. D.Y. Chandrachud sir. And the and that's what he said. He said, and I'll quote him, he said, ethics is something which is imbibed and it does not goes away if you retire. I'll repeat, ethic is something that we imbibe and it doesn't goes away even if you retire. Somebody the other day was asking me, okay, so sir, we see a very disciplined sort of a room of yours. Your table is never dirty. Is this the way you carry your home as well? And my answer was an absolute yes. Now, as a teacher, it is always said that a law teacher should be properly dressed up. He or she should be properly when he teaches the class, teaching the class on time. It's not about his or her own hobby, practice, or something that he or she is falling onto. It's about how well we reciprocate. Now, I remember one of the senior advocates, when we invited him, he readily accepted that particular fact. He was there at our campus. We gave a time of 10:30. He was at our place at 10:20. And he said, I do not want to have a cup of tea, only a glass of water. I want to reach the class at 10:25. And that was one thing. And he started off his lecture with the same way. That the reason why I reached 10:25 is exactly you will find me at 10:25 in the Supreme Court lobby, where a courtroom would be starting at 10:30. I'll be right at the gate of it, whatsoever it is. My client is coming, my client is not coming. And he said that I follow the same practice even when I go to Saket District Court of Delhi. Because we have divided the Supreme Court, the High Court, and the District Court, the Sessions Court. For me, all of these courts, I wouldn't have been a senior advocate designated at the Supreme Court of India if I wouldn't be respecting the District, the Sessions Court. He said, I treat the same civil judge class 1, who might be even younger than what my son's age is, but he's a judge. And I treat him in the similar capacity as if I would be treating the Chief Justice of India. Now, one very important thing is the value that this particular profession is bringing up. The real world dilemmas, as I said, the real world dilemmas might be something from the other. We ethical practices can never be crystalled down to black and white and being taught. Why? Because the situations may differ, and that is where dilemma word that I'm using here. A dilemma is there can be similar sort of situations, the two real world similar situations, but two different things, and that's how you'll have to make a decision. So you cannot say, okay, I have learned this, now I'll imbibe this, and this will only go this way. No. In this particular thing, it might be. You remember the example which I was giving? And then came the question and answer session. And to my knowledge, to my utter surprise of my knowledge, this time the question was imposed by the guest speaker. And the students were answering it. It is more of a psychometric test for lawyers or the law students, I would use that word. That in a particular situation, how will you act? I was a part of the JAG recruitment process, where being a law student, and you all would also agree, nothing law sort of a thing is being asked out there, but it is an open thing only for the lawyers there. And they run psychometric analysis test, they run the picture analysis test. Now, this exactly is what I am requesting all my dear friends to incorporate in your classroom. Have a picture perception test with your students. Draw or make a picture. And then only one principle that you need to follow the ethical practices out here and take it up. Let that imagination flow with the canvas of the ethical or the professional practices out there, and see how well your students respond. It is often said that you, in spite of roting or reading that thing, okay, this is an additional practice, this should be done, this should be done, this should be done, this should not be done, this should not be done, this should not be done. Help them showcasing that in the form of a role play. It is often said that you learn more by doing rather than by reading. I'll repeat, you learn more by doing rather than by reading. Now, I would fail if I'm not using that how the growing technology can help you with it. Now, you remember that I suggested a competition, the Brown and Marston International Client Counseling Competition. The videos are available. The videos are available on YouTube. We have an Indian form of it. I'm unsure whether it's still be done, but Kerala Law Academy has a client counseling competition, a national stage. And I was the when I was a law student, I guess 2008 2009, I was the runners up for that particular thing. It is not about me, it is about how I was prepared enough to take that thing ahead. So online ethics modules and simulations can supplement traditional teaching methods. Use softwares, use AI techniques to create such scenarios and situations. And yes, I being one of the and I am open for that criticism as well. But I have been using AI uh, by all means. So I have the licensed versions of ChatGPT. Nowadays, I'm also using a deep seek, um, perplexity, elicit, you name it, I have already touched down with the hand of it. For that matter, even this PowerPoint presentation, I have used an AI tool to generate this PowerPoint presentation. The only reason that I'm saying this is today's generation, this law students that we are teaching, is a generation notch up with us. And technology, if keeping pace with the technology, we will be obsolete very soon. So how can, and believe me, even today when I am preparing a question paper, I make sure and I check it that the answer is not available on a chat GPT or an AI. That is the level of a question that I would generally expect my students to take. And to my utter surprise, whenever in my classroom I say it is an open book and open internet exam, the half of the class is like, sir, please don't take an open book or an open internet exam. The reason is they're not going to find an answer over it. And this helps me as a law professor or even as a legal researcher to put a notch up. These are just tools. Always remember that. Never they can master. An artificial intelligence can never create a natural intelligence. It is always the vice versa. It's a natural intelligence that has created an artificial intelligence. So leveraging technology increases the accessibility and expands the opportunity of learning as well. And how professional ethics can be taught with that thing is again one of a very recent examples that we have done on. Utilizing the chat GPT, we created a particular hypothetical situation by keeping three prominent case laws on the contempt of court. So it framed the three real life cases decided by the Honorable Supreme Court with judgment into merge them into one particular problem. And that problem was given to the students for their approach, for their answers, for their other things as well. And as a law teacher, I never said that if the judgment comes with what the judgment of the Supreme Court is, then only you are correct. No. I always ask what is the reason behind it. And I've always given marks even when the judgment is what is against, because this is how the law student with the and the legal principles grows together. And very importantly, and this would be the last thing before I end, you'll see I have purposefully strived off moot courts, because to study professional ethics, it's more of a mock trial that is required. And believe me, very few institutes in our country are imbibing the feature of mock trials. Under a mock trial, we actually, and the word itself says it, we actually mock a complete trial, two in a semester. One happens to be a criminal case and one happens to be a civil case. In a criminal case, we generally, it is form of a murder or an attempt to murder or something, where we get PWs as well, the prosecution witnesses, the defense witnesses, the medical examiner, the police, the court, the judge, the pleaders, everything. And we enact an entire of the trial. The purpose is what? And this is done compulsorily by the fifth year students. This is done only and only that all of them, even if one who is playing the role of a doctor, shall be aware how a trial starts. So generally it's a session trial that we take it up, how the trial begins to how the judgment is being pronounced. All entire trial, it's a lengthy exercise of 1.5 hours minimum. But that's how an entire process is showcased as a drama in front of us. I'm not saying this is not the same drama which we see in a web series. Believe me, they are totally not the way our court works in our country. But believe me, that is one thing. We all remember the Tariq per Tariq. We all remember the Jolly LLB. But as true lawyers, when I was watching that movie, or the recent version of ONG, where now those things are very good for drama series, but as law students, mock trials should be mandatorily be allocated with each of these particular subjects. And the last thing, as I was telling, is not for the ethical dimension or the ethical advocacy, but each subject, and this is something that you all can do as well, each subject that we teach our students, we all are in the habits of taking assignments. Why can't we can have a mock trial for each of the subjects? Example, I'm teaching environmental law. Can I borrow the MC Mehta versus Kamal Nath case and enact the entire case as a mock trial for my subject, where each student who will be participating will get a 5 marks for their assignment in that? That one particular exercise of mocking the entire MC Mehta in front as a showcasing thing would help you to understand. You saw that, oh, this trial goes this way. This trial goes this way. How this doctrine got evolved. Everything is right in front of us in the form of a judgment. Original judgment has each detail of it. And that mock trialing of a particular case, each subject would have one of the landmark. Borrow that, enact it. This way, it would be a showcasing of how we are going to take that thing ahead. Community engagement is very important. Now, this, we all are doing it. The legal aid practices of our schools, I would appreciate law teachers. They came out with a wonderful idea of making reel making competition, a short film making competition. Now, this is what? A new age technology. Today, I'll ask my students that you have to go to a village. A town A students, a Gen Z will be like, sir, it's too much of dust out there. Sir, how can we go out there? But look how technology and how, a wonderful creative idea. NHRC does the same. NHRC, if you are aware, please put that thing to your law students as well. NHRC, the National Human Rights Commission, each year comes out with a short film making competition. Reel making competition. Look, technology, the present age technology mixed with the community engagement. Take any rising issue, the pro bono initiatives, the pro bono clubs, which the Ministry of Law and Justice has been taking up, is the best way to showcase the pro bono, to showcase the ethical standards. How ethically you can go and do that. How well we can give it back to the society. And believe me, doing it once would attract your juniors. You'll attract the next coming 4 years of your law students there. Identify a community need. Identify NGO partnership. Prominent, and I'll give you another environmental law example. We have heard these cases like, or forget about the environmental thing, the constitutional matters. PUCL, the People Union for Civil Liberties. PUDR, People Union for Democratic Rights. MC Mehta Foundation. Menaka Gandhi Foundation. All these NGOs, all these societies are open with the throughout the year internship, and encourage your students to go and showcase and to learn on that particular ground. And this would help them to come learning the ethical practices in the best of the way that they can. Now, I understand there are few challenges as well. You have a limited resource for teaching ethics, but who said that limited resource can't be enhanced in bringing other points as well? The biggest problem that you face in teaching a subject like professional ethics was engagement level. But believe me, as I have done the previous year, the most I had an average attendance of 89.6%. And that is the senior most batch that I was teaching on. We all, as I said in the starting itself, a final year law students. Because they were like, we are trying to I generally say, and I give that an example, the earlier of the Indian Evidence Act 1872 I'm talking about. The last section of the Indian Evidence Act was called as refreshing the memory. And I said, the subject of professional ethics, why it is taught at the 10th semester, is only and only of the reason because it is the refreshing of the memory of what all we did. I said, this subject clubbed with your pleading, drafting, and conveyancing is actually a replica of refreshing the memory. Half of you would be appearing for your judiciary exams, wherein means you will be asked to do that. How is this? This is how entire 4.5 years being clubbed, nurtured, and then the outcome is out there. And how innovatively as a teacher I can get that thing done to my students. You have to make them understand to their level. One of a very important assignment that I gave, I said, you people watch web series. I'm giving you 3 web series, 2 Indian, 2 English, and 1 Indian. The 3 web series were The Suits, Boston, LA, and the one which was recently there, Mamla Legal Help. All these 3 web series you need to watch and identify 10 unethical practices that happened in these 3 web series. And believe me for this, there were more than 72 which the students combinedly take out as unique 72 unethical practices in these web series. Now, what did I do? Did I got a rocket out somewhere? No. What I did, that was the best way, because if they are clear what are the ethical practices, then only they'll be able to identify the unethical practices. That is what I call as the idealism versus the reality. Now, the importance of uniform in the law school is exactly that you are preparing the students to reach the particular match day when in court they can't wear anything and everything and reach out there. So you are making them develop that particular habit itself. To conclude, fostering a culture of ethics in the Indian legal education, you need ethical practices, which will mean the long-term benefits. That if being ethical, ethics is not about an exam of 100 marks. Ethics is more about individual and the societal well-being. It would first have to have an individual well-being, then only we can move ahead. And lastly, a very strong foundation is required. The role of ethics in strengthening the foundation of the Indian legal system is immaterial to what it is. It is directly proportionate to the development of the Indian legal education or the Indian legal system for that matter. Therefore, to call an action for the same, we need to prioritize ethics. We need to collaborate much more. Uh, and now, embracing values is what one which is written in a book format, one very, very, very integral book for this particular subject, as I said, is a one called as Professional Ethics, published by the ILI, that's Indian Law Institute, New Delhi. And how and what would be the importance of the same itself? So there can be the methods that I incorporated and I shared. These are not the only ones. I know I have not even touched the tip of the iceberg. There can be many more methods, many more interesting, much interesting methods that we can incorporate to make this subject one of the most interesting subjects. We can make the subject where we can do a role reversal, where the students are teaching us the ethics because they are the best ones. They are the leaders, the ethical lawyers for tomorrow. So, with this, I thank you for the patient listener. And this was all from my end. I'm open for questions, comments, even criticism, if any.
Thank you so much, sir. So participants can unmute themselves and they can ask question and share their experience.
Participant, any question, query from your side? Please unmute yourself and ask. After this, we'll take up oral feedback. Yes, anyone?
So, what should I render this? That I was ethical in teaching or I was unethical in taking this particular session?
The session was very good, sir. It was really a wonderful
Thank,
session, sir. You are the
thank you so much,
showstopper, sir.
ma'am.
Very
No, no,
nice.
no, ma'am. Don't
And
get
then really, we
listening
were
this.
just, yes, sorry, please, over to you.
Uh, Good
Yes,
evening, everyone. Because in the present era, it's very, very important to adopt new teaching pedagogy. And it's not for the first time. I have listened to you before this all and on different topics. And you all ideas and how you are handling your classes. It's always very mind-boggling. And being a teacher, we always learn new things. So thank you very much for this wonderful session.
Thank you so much, Bhavna, ma'am. It really means a lot to get it from you. And I'll be very honest, Sangeeta ma'am would be very happy. Um, I guess 3 hours back, I was sharing a forum with Ivneet ma'am. So we were there in Delhi at the same forum. And I told her as well, ma'am, I'll just need to rush back because, traveling in Delhi is that far. So I have a session with the same thing. So I said, so it was such a good thing that, look, 3 hours back, I'm meeting Ivneet ma'am and then fortunate enough to share this virtual forum with Sangeeta ma'am as well.
Rajiv Gandhi is everywhere, you see.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely, definitely. I know I'll be texting Jay Shankar sir as well now. Ki, sir,
Do you
look,
know
this
one
is there.
thing? Amit was
Yes, ma'am.
working with us as a researcher 2-3 years back.
Oh,
So
oh, wow.
definitely, he's also having a tag of RG English.
Yeah. Great to learn, Amit. From
So
NLIU
I'm
Bhopal to
a,
RG.
I'm a collaborator of
Yes, Kalpesh sir.
law school. Uh,
You are, sir, Sutradhar. That's the term I've always used for you. So not only with
So
RGNUL, but whatnot. I do not think there would be any law school, private, um, government, national law, whatever it is. Sir, Kalpesh sir, as I've
it's
always
a
said, I have huge respect for whatever you are doing. And I have seen you write, and you remember that we already had a word when it was just on a very nascent stage to where it has come today. So from a
yeah.
seed to the burger ka ped, it's all credit to Kalpesh sir.
Oh. I just thought of like you discuss really like pro bono India. We are like 9th edition of that competition is going on. The small thing like
Yes, sir.
you rightly I also keep telling there's nothing like a rocket science. It came to my mind, it came to your mind, and then implement in the smaller manner. That really matters. People keep thinking as a teacher, हम ये करेंगे वो करेंगे, and then right now from Monday to Saturday I'm like teaching in MBA, mercantile law.
You told me.
So
Yeah.
BBA become student and one engineering is also there. So again, the teaching method we have to adopt very practical thing. Today I talk about the legal aspect of startup and then contract. Okay, chalo draft. So that way, some otherwise law is there. Sir, हमने पढ़ा है. Tell become I did become so there's paper. But again, how to teach practically, with anecdotes, some funny things. Still sometimes they also ask sir कुछ दूसरा कराओ ऐसा. Then I ask. Uh, do these things particular चलो आज contract बनाओ. Two students are there, make a contract and then come and make a presentation. So and then couple of students there fear sir क्या बोलूं मैं. You come and then present, no worry, don't be like
Yeah.
so small
So
activity and
I
then
just
yeah,
I,
please.
sir, I'll be very honest. I myself as a teacher of IPR, you know that, and joining a new place where I have to establish a law school where I do not have law students right now, but I'm teaching the engineering students. Believe me, sir, matlab, it takes me an energy to reread and then go to teach them because it's easy for a law student to understand the concepts of IPR. I see a message by Dr. Gudeep, sir, there, and he says that generally in motor accident cases, 10% of the total winning claim is the advocate fees to be paid to the by the client. So believe me, I am just trying to say, and I borrowed the same example. I have seen myself that not only in motor accidents claims, but even in the negotiable instruments cases as well. I'm specifically referring to Section 138 NI. The advocates do charge this. But this is not only ethically wrong, but also legally wrong. No advocate can do that. I'll come to this one more thing that even now I'm just changing a scenario of the same situation. Even after winning, the client wishes to give the 10% or 5%, 20%, 50% of what the subject matter of the case would have been. It would still be an illegal and an unethical practice. So I know many wrong practices have become a part of our system, and this is true everywhere, not only with the lawyers. And I can tell you this with utmost confidence. I come from a family of lawyers. I'm into fifth generation of law. Except me, everybody practices in my place. So my father, this is his 44th year of civil side practice in Gorakhpur. My brother is in 18th year of his practice at Allahabad High Court. I do not know. Uh, I guess I was not fit enough to practice, but sir, that's what I was saying. That even if it is become as a practice, uh, it won't turn it to be an ethical one. But such things, as teachers, we can teach our students that this is not a good practice. This is not at all a legal practice either. So it is often said, now a thief is not a thief. A thief becomes a thief when he's caught. The day such advocates, either any report thing would be reported to the bar council or something like that, I guess they'll land in trouble.
Sure. uh I think before we can take up a couple of feedback for this program and then we'll give a vote of thanks if you have time. So yeah.
Sure, sir, sure.
Sure. So, participant, we are opening for your feedback, any your experience in this particular program, and I think we thought of I think 3-4 months back, if I'm not wrong, about this program. So it came to my mind, and then go and I would say first of its kind program on the teaching clinical, and we have created great resource. I would say, like, 13 great lectures. We have 4 paper only, so we deliberated, like, what to include. So we'll include field visit, trial advocacy, client counseling. That is very essential, practical part. Starting from our outcome legal education, clinical legal education, and then mooting. I think, uh, just, a couple of days I was thinking I will send. Obviously, I can send mail to anyone any point of time. So thinking to send mail to BCI. This what we have done, and this is the, lectures are there. So hopefully, something can happen. Like, it's a great effort, and then all the resources, content, the way content, everything. Like, I would say, people can keep referring at, uh, occasionally, and sharpen their skill. Obviously, it's nothing different styles. Obviously, you can also come up with your own style of teaching, learning, or research. So any feedback for participant? We'll take a few minutes. We'll end in maybe 5 minutes. So please introduce yourself and your feedback for this program before we conclude. Yes, Dr. Bhavna, Dr. Suman, Dr. Pooja, anyone, couple of feedback on this program? Yes, anyone?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes,
Seema.
yes. Yes, Kaplesh sir, it's a wonderful program and it's one of its type also, because generally we have FDPs, other capacity building programs on multidisciplinary approaches, but especially on the legal point of view and to cover the clinical papers. That's wonderful, wonderful, and congratulations to you to bring about such a program on such platform where we could as a teachers discuss how we are approaching the students, especially in this technology era, the changing era where language is changing, where our students are changing day by day, how to handle them and how we are going to teach these paper, what approaches we should adopt. It's really wonderful, and of course we learned very good things from your programs, and I think since last 2 3 months I'm regularly attending all of your programs, because we as a teacher don't get any training how we are going to teach, and it's something like it's a training program for ourselves also, where we are getting new ideas and we are discussing different point of views. So thank you very much for this wonderful program.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, some, I started knowing, including you also, like, consistently they are attending program. We have Dr. Anjana also. She is a principal in B.R. Ambedkar Law College, Ahmedabad. Sorry, I won't know she be able to open her mind. I have asked her why you are attending so many. Sir, your programs are very good, so convenient, content. So all, this is not only my effort. I think implement, and resource persons are there. They are ready on one WhatsApp message. Let me tell you, I don't call. One WhatsApp message, they are ready, and then you're happy to know. I would say, I was talking with to GNLO Vice Chancellor sir also. I told him, and then keep talking. Like, in last 2 years, 200 plus resource person. That is a number of this, including all the programs. So thankful to all the, resource person, including Dr. Deevanshu right now. So, and then senior professor. Let me tell you, we have resource person experience having 5 plus 35 plus. So, minimum, like I would say, and that is I would say range we have. It's all about experience. Like, I would say nothing like, somebody's young, he or she won't be able to do that. They have proven, and they are regular speaker in, various programs. So that is the thing. And obviously, credit goes to all the participants also. Consistently they are attending all the, and then we have stopped at taking attendance. You come, attend the material, this is a recording, see your convenience, take the test, and that way we have done. So, that was, my idea. And then things are happening with all the collaboration with this is the second program with Arjun Punjab. We did IKS, Indian Knowledge System. That's again, now UGC is doing that program. Before that we did. So, and that's a physical one, so we did online one. So, the convenience, and then, whatever you want to take it as much as possible. That was the idea. Anyone last feedback, and then we'll close. Yes, Dr. Gurdeep, Dr. Suman, anyone? I'm just asking for regular attending, so not disturbing others. Yes, and then let me tell you, Amit was a dedicated moderator so far in our program. Let me tell you, with day like I was just calculating randomly a few days back because I have to whenever I'm talking. So 25 programs we have done, I would say in 2.5 years. So most number of moderation you have done very efficiently. People are really struggle. And then I invite from participants only. No, you come and invite because no, like not from our side, not team, all the participants, faculty member, research scholar, they come, keep inviting, be a part, and then somebody's become a friends. Let me tell you, they were participant, they became a core, like core committee team members, and now become friend. We have met, various point of time, and then come up with research books also. Let me tell you, books and other programs. So that is the thing, like out of this outcome of this particular programs. So thank you very much, Sangeeta ma'am. Over to you, and you can your final thought. Amit, you want to say something? You have spoken so much, and over to you, Sangeeta madam. Vote of
Thank you
thanks,
so
and
much,
then
sir.
conclude the remarks of this program.
Thank you, sir. It is really an honor, sir, to have, all the speakers. I think they made it a success. I'm very much sure. And today's session was really, really, it was very great, sir. It was helpful, and it would be helpful in future to all the teachers and to all of us. It gives up not only perception as well as a direction. I would say that, and it would go a long way, sir. Whether a teacher is teaching this subject or not, but it has given direction for every subject to all the teachers how we should go about, and ethic thing, I think it can be made applicable at in all the subjects and at every stage. And we are so thankful to you, sir. Devanshu, sir, we would like to have you personally in our university. So we would like to call you up very soon. And maybe Kalpesh, sir, also, and Amit, you are family of our GNUL. So thank you, all the participants. Thank you very much for being with us for so many days. Thank you so much. Over to you, Amit.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So Amit, you can close. Over to you.
Yes. On a lighter note, I think there can't be nothing better than closing with a session on professional ethics. As you mentioned, that we teach professional ethics in the 10th semester, the last year, and we are also ending on the last session with professional ethics. So
So we can have
it
a
is
group photograph, Amit. If all the
right.
participants can also switch
Yeah.
on their cameras, who can? We can have one group photograph, which would be our memory. And I would also put it in my university website as well.
Yes, ma'am.
So all the participants who can just switch on their cameras, we can have a group photograph. Kalpesa, you are not visible.
Now I'm visible. Hello.
Not, is it? Amit,
Yes,
you
yes,
can
ma'am.
take a picture.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, actually, I'm using this application on phone, so somebody with a laptop can take it.
Okay.
You want
I
me
am
to
Okay, I
on
have
laptop,
taken.
but
request?
Maybe
You
I
can
should.
send it otherwise.
Yes. Sure, sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Then thank you so much, everyone. Thanks
thank you,
once again.
everyone.
Okay.
Thank
Until
you.
next time.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Devanshu, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.